Actually, a little while ago, somebody actually suggested that I talk about my language journey that I had, and I do feel like I kind of do need to sort of a discuss it and b get back on it because a few years ago, really long time ago, I actually was trying to become what I would call a practicing polyglot. I was actually at some point learning 10 languages at once. I don't know all of them. I think it was okay. So it was I want to say it was obviously Spanish, Japanese, Swahili, Zonka, Dzongkha. I think I want to say they spoke that in Malaysia, and so there was this rumor that I actually heard that if you speak these 4 languages, then you could speak every language. But I want to say it was Chinese, Russian, German, and Swahili, or is it Yoruba? It was like It was like 4 languages, and if you know those languages, you can know every language because every language is ultimately no. Wait. It was Latin. Was it Latin? In any case, though, I've always been very fascinated by languages. I've always been very fascinated by the idea that there's multiple ways to speak. That there's multiple ways to not only speak but to read, and so it's like different characters mean different things to different people, and it was always kind of crazy to me. So I have been using Duolingo, but before that, I was using something called Mango Languages, and I was also like every so often just reading little books in my spare time. And in the process, I do know a little bit of these languages. Some of them I need to like revisit, but I do have the time now, at least for the moment, to like try to get back into learning languages. So there's that. The goal is to ultimately kind of like at least the goal is to ultimately like while I'm not doing anything, or rather while I'm not like working, to just sort of get back into learning, get back into like going really hard into the whole practicing polyglot thing, because I was doing that for an extremely long time. Estoy aprendiendo español, pero no sé más palabras. A veces aprendió español. Um, but like it's not easy. It's really not easy. Uh, like Nihongo wakarimasen. Nihongo wakarimasen. Demo uh, Nihongo ga ego ga hanashimasu ka? Which is Japanese for I don't know Japanese. Do you speak English? And before I was saying I'm learning Spanish, but I don't know a whole lot of words. One of the things I've always like tried my best to teach myself, like before I actually even learn a language, is how to say I don't speak the language. Do you speak English? So, for example, I not know sign language. I learn sign language. I know little words. Just trying my best. Always trying my best to sort of figure out how to say I don't know the words and I don't know things, so that way, even if I find myself trying to speak the dialect or try to understand them, it's that way they know for a fact. Oh, this guy, he doesn't know a lot. He practices, but he doesn't know anything. I don't mind saying that I'm a noob when it comes to certain things. But I was actually trying to learn. But like, I realized, actually, in the process of me trying to learn languages, that I am really bad with tonal languages, like languages that are specifically like tone. Because, like, for example, Chinese, right? Chinese is a tonal language. So if I were to say, like sure and sure, it's sure, sure, sure. I don't know the tones. I don't know. It's like there's a different way to speak them. There's a different way to say the words, but it's really 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 hard to like learn it. And also, like, technically they could just always mess with you about it. Like, you could literally say the word right and they could still be like, what did you say? For trolling purposes. But the idea is that it's tonal, so it's very 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 hard for me to like actually like pay attention to. But I do know. I think I used to know the word bathroom is like shudyar, I think, but like I used to know like obviously there's certain words that I do know. There's certain words that I don't know. I also want to learn Russian because, like it or not, Russia is the biggest country. It's like this gigantic country, and it takes up the majority of Europe. So it's like I feel like if you know Russian, then you probably might know at least some parts of European language. And Chinese is like one of the oldest languages out there, next to Yoruba. It's just like, and also like the more you learn about the languages, the more stuff kind of like starts to, so the more like a lot of languages start to kind of like either make sense or make sense in context and things like that. Because it's not just learning the words as much as like learning the culture, learning like learning who said these words and why, like where these things come from. Like one of my favorite things to learn about languages is that like I was trying to teach myself Portuguese, and thank you in Portuguese is obrigado, whereas thank you in that Japanese is arigato. So obrigado, arigato, you know. And meanwhile, in America, we have the words obligations. Obrigado, arigato, obligations. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's kind of cool to sort of like see those little stuff like that, and I think, but like but the fact of the matter is that like learning languages has always been kind of like a thing that I used to do to sort of like free my mind and just sort of like help my mind out a little bit. But like I said, I think it was like I said, I don't know the rumor specifically, but oh man, dang, it's really bad, huh? Ugh. I gotta get that looked at. That's bad. But like I do know that like one of the things that they actually used to what's what I'm looking for? I lost my place because of this mutation on my neck. Uh, I'm trying to remember the four languages that you can use to like to know every language. I can't. Like I said, it was either four languages or five, but they were all like root languages. But I do know that one like okay, I think one of them was Latin, and I think another one was Chinese, and God, this is not going to be easy for me. In any case, though, the goal is to learn languages so I can understand more languages because I do want to ultimately create my own language. I do kind of want to, you know, and one thing I love about languages is that like it's not just knowing the words. You have to know the word, you have to know the sentence structure, you have to know the context, you have to know like what you're using, why you're using it. There actually there's a language out there that like is different for people who like the words become a little bit different when you're married than they do when you're not married. So it's like you can literally say the same word, but I think you have to add something at the end of certain words to signify that you're married. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's kind of like it's like meanwhile there's other words, there's other there's other like things where you can like use, and a time determines, like the time of day determines what word you use for that moment. Kind of like how we have morning, noon, night, afternoon, and stuff like that here. It's a lot that goes into these things, and like I said, I'm getting myself back excited about this stuff a little bit. I used to, like I said, I love learning this stuff, and now like I've always did kind of want to be a linguist. I did always want to be a polyglot. I did always want to be able to kind of like just sort of, because I feel like if you do know multiple languages, you can be able to kind of just sort of the world just looks different to you when you do that, because you can sort of understand everything at least in context. Like like I can only imagine how cool everything looks to a person who speaks more than one language. And that's kind of what I've always wanted to do, where I'm trying to learn 10. But yeah. But also like sign language is also like one of my favorites, because like sign language, like because the thing about sign language is some cultures have different sign language. Like there's American sign language, and I think there's Japanese sign language. There's like it's all different. So, but yeah, my language journey, I'm gonna try to restart it so I can understand things, and I hope you guys support me on that, like how y'all support me on everything else. Alrighty, until next time. Until next time, buenas noches, buenas tardes y arigato gozaimasu, and Love and peace.